When you walk into a quiet room and suddenly forget why you came in, do you smile and say to yourself, "Oh, I must be getting old"? I've heard this phrase countless times from my patients over the past 3 decades. But what if I told you that some of these little slips are not just about aging? They may be the brain's gentle whisper, asking for help long before it cries out. My name is Dr. Thomas, and for over 30 years, I've cared for older adults across the United States, guiding them through the challenges of memory loss, muscle weakness, and emotional changes. I have learned that dementia is not a normal part of growing older. It is a medical condition that begins silently, sometimes decades before symptoms are obvious. And here is the good news. Recognizing these signs early can change the story of your brain's health. In today's video, we are going to explore the early warning signals of dementia that are often overlooked, from changes in posture and balance, to muscle strength, sleep patterns, and even the words we use. My goal is not to frighten you, but to stand beside you as a companion on this journey to bring hope, healing, and practical steps you can start today. If you have ever noticed these changes in yourself or a loved one, I want to hear from you. Comment 1 if you have, or 0 if not. Your voice matters here. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe and ring the bell so that we never lose touch. Together we can protect the most precious organ of all, the human brain. Number 1, the misconception that dementia is just aging. One of the most common phrases I hear from older adults is, "I am just getting old." It is said with a smile, sometimes with a sigh, and often as a way to explain forgetfulness, weakness, or mood changes. But as a physician who has cared for patients for 3 decades, I must tell you that dementia is not simply aging. It is a medical condition, a disease process within the brain that begins quietly and it develops over many years. It is true that our brains, like every other organ, do change as we grow older. Reaction times may slow, learning new technology may take longer, and names may escape us for a moment. But normal aging does not erase your ability to carry on conversations, recognize loved ones, or maintain independence. When these abilities start to slip away, it is often because of disease, not just age. Research published in the New York Times has shown that dementia often begins its course decades before the first clear symptoms. This means the brain is already experiencing small but significant changes long before families notice memory loss. Ignoring these early clues is one of the greatest mistakes I have seen because it allows the disease to progress unchecked. The lesson here is simple but profound. Do not dismiss unusual changes in memory, movement, or personality as just old age. By paying attention, by speaking openly with your doctor, you create the chance to intervene early. And early intervention can mean slowing decline, protecting independence, and preserving quality of life. So let me ask you, have you or someone you love ever brushed off memory slips or changes in balance as just age? If yes, please share your experience in the comments. Your voice may help someone else recognize that what they are going through deserves attention and care. Number 2, the language of the body, posture and gait changes. The human body speaks long before the brain shows obvious signs of decline. Over the years, I have noticed that one of the earliest clues of dementia is not in memory at all, but in the way a person walks, stands, or even holds a cup. Subtle changes in posture and gait are often dismissed as arthritis, just getting stiff, or being tired. But these changes can be early messages from the brain. Our balance, coordination, and movement are controlled by complex networks of neurons. When those pathways begin to weaken, the body often reveals it first. I have cared for patients who began taking shorter steps, dragging their feet instead of lifting them, or leaning slightly to one side without realizing it. Some even developed difficulty using utensils or holding a glass steadily. These may appear to be small inconveniences, but they often reflect deeper changes within the nervous system. Research highlighted in the Washington Post reported that mobility problems can appear years before memory loss in people who later develop dementia. This means that the body is telling its story earlier than we think. Unfortunately, families frequently ignore these shifts, attributing them to aging bones or joints, and valuable time for intervention is lost. The important lesson here is to pay attention to the quiet language of the body, If you or a loved one begins to notice consistent unsteadiness, repeated falls, or unusual posture, do not simply brush it aside. Talk with your physician. Sometimes physical therapy, strength exercises, and early neurological evaluation can make a significant difference in maintaining independence. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed a loved one begin to shuffle their feet or struggle with balance in a way that felt new or different? Share your experience in the comments. By sharing, you may help another family recognize these early signals and take action before a more serious decline occurs. Number 3. When the senses betray us. Early sensory problems. Most people believe dementia is only about memory, but the brain controls much more than recall. One of the earliest warning signs often appears in the senses, in how we see, hear, smell, or even taste the world around us. Over the years, I have seen patients who noticed they were bumping into furniture more often, misjudging steps on the staircase, or struggling to pour water without spilling. These are not clumsy mistakes. They can be signs that the brain's processing is beginning to falter. The loss of smell, in particular, has been recognized as one of the earliest red flags for Alzheimer's disease. Patients who once enjoyed the aroma of morning coffee or fresh flowers suddenly found those scents fading away. According to the Wall Street Journal, research from major American universities has confirmed that a diminished sense of smell can precede memory problems by several years. Hearing loss has also been strongly linked to cognitive decline. A study reported by USA Today revealed that older adults with untreated hearing loss were significantly more likely to develop dementia, as the brain struggles harder to process sound, creating added strain. Sadly, these sensory issues are often overlooked or blamed on aging. Grandma just cannot hear as well, families say, without realizing that what seems minor might be a message from the brain itself. By the time memory problems emerge, precious years have already passed. The important takeaway is this: changes in how we perceive the world deserve attention. If you or someone you love develops new problems with smell, vision depth, or hearing, talk to a healthcare professional. Sometimes hearing aids, vision adjustments, or even simple lifestyle changes can ease the burden on the brain and slow further decline. Let me ask you this. Have you or a loved one ever noticed a change in senses, such as struggling with hearing, smell, or depth perception, that seemed unusual? If so, please share your story in the comments. Your voice may help another family recognize a warning sign before it is too late. Number 4, muscle weakness as a silent signal from the brain. When most people think about muscle weakness in older age, they immediately blame arthritis, lack of exercise, or simply getting old. But as a neurologist who has studied this for 3 decades, I can assure you that muscle weakness can sometimes be the brain's quiet cry for help. Research has shown that reduced grip strength, something as simple as difficulty opening a jar or holding a grocery bag, is not just about the hands. It can be one of the earliest predictors of dementia. A study reported in the New York Times highlighted that older adults with weaker grip strength were significantly more likely to experience cognitive decline later in life. The connection is profound. When muscles grow weaker, people often move less. Less movement means reduced blood flow and stimulation to the brain, which accelerates decline. It becomes a cycle. Weakness leads to inactivity, and inactivity hastens both muscle and brain deterioration. I have met patients who once loved gardening or carrying their grandchildren, but began stepping back because their arms and legs just did not feel strong anymore. With gentle physical therapy and daily strength exercises, some were able to regain confidence and slow the decline. That is why I tell every patient, protecting your muscles is also protecting your brain. Now let me pause here to connect with you. Have you ever noticed your hands tiring quickly, or perhaps found yourself avoiding activities you once enjoyed because of weakness? If so, I invite you to share your story in the comments. You might write, "Yes, I have felt my grip changing," or "No, I still feel strong." These simple words create a community where we can learn from one another. And if you share your feelings, perhaps the frustration or even the hope after small improvements, your story may encourage someone else who is quietly struggling. Remember, early recognition is not about fear. It is about companionship, healing, in action. By listening to what your muscles are telling you and by moving your body every day, you are giving your brain the nourishment it needs to stay sharp and resilient. Number 5, nighttime clues. Sleep disorders in the brain. Sleep is one of the most powerful healers our bodies possess. Yet for many older adults, restful nights seem harder to find. What most people do not realize is that disturbed sleep can be one of the earliest warning signs of dementia. Over the past 30 years, I have seen patients who came to me not because of memory problems, but because they could not sleep through the night. Later, many of these same patients develop more obvious signs of cognitive decline. Common nighttime clues include insomnia, frequent waking, restless movements, or vivid dreams that feel unsettling. In some cases, people act out their dreams, kicking, punching, or even shouting in their sleep. According to a report in USA Today, researchers have found that sleep disorders like REM behavior disorder are strongly linked to an increased risk of developing dementia with Lewy bodies. Excessive daytime sleepiness can also be a red flag, especially if naps were never part of a person's routine before. Why does this happen? During deep sleep, the brain clears away toxins that accumulate during the day. One of these toxins is beta amyloid, a protein that plays a central role in Alzheimer's disease. Without deep, restorative sleep, the brain cannot perform this essential cleaning, and harmful proteins begin to build up. Over time, this accelerates cognitive decline. Here is the hopeful side. Addressing sleep issues early can make a real difference. Establishing a regular bedtime, avoiding caffeine in the evening, creating a calm sleep environment, and speaking with a physician about possible underlying conditions such as sleep apnea are all important steps. I have seen patients regain energy, clarity, and emotional balance simply by improving their sleep. Now let me bring you in. Have you noticed changes in your sleep? Perhaps waking more often, having intense dreams, or feeling unusually tired during the day? Please share your experience in the comments. Write honestly whether it has been frustrating, exhausting, or if you have found something that helps. Your story might be the very encouragement someone else needs tonight. Remember this truth: sleep is not a luxury, it is the brain's most important medicine. By protecting your sleep, you are protecting your memory, your independence, and your future. Number 6, emotional withdrawal and the silent weight of apathy. One of the most heartbreaking early changes I have witnessed in patients is not memory loss, but a slow retreat from life itself. Apathy, the quiet loss of interest in hobbies, social gatherings, or even family conversations, can appear years before dementia is formally diagnosed. It is often mistaken for depression or simply slowing down with age, but in reality, it may reflect changes deep within the brain's emotional and motivational centers. I remember a patient who once loved fishing with his grandchildren. Over time, he began declining their invitations. At first, his family thought he was simply tired, but as months passed, they realized he was withdrawing from nearly everything he once enjoyed. His story is not unique. Across my 30 years of practice, I have seen this pattern many times, and it always signals the need for closer attention. According to the Washington Post, research has shown that apathy is one of the earliest emotional symptoms connected with cognitive decline. Unlike depression, which often fluctuates with outside events, apathy in dementia tends to persist regardless of circumstances. The brain regions that regulate drive and emotional engagement begin to lose function, creating a kind of emotional silence. This is not only difficult for the person experiencing it, but also for loved ones. Families often describe feeling shut out, wondering if they did something wrong. I always remind them, it is not personal, it is neurological. And with understanding, patience, and medical guidance, they can support their loved one while also protecting their emotional well-being. Now I want to hear from you. Have you noticed a friend or family member withdrawing from activities they once loved? Or have you felt this quiet loss of interest in your own life? Please share your thoughts and feelings in the comments. By speaking openly, you may help others feel less alone in what can be a confusing and painful experience. Remember, recognizing apathy is not about blame. It is about compassion, early care, and keeping the circle of connection alive, even when words and actions grow quiet. Number 7, language struggles and the first signs of aphasia. When we think of communication, we often imagine words flowing naturally, almost effortlessly. Yet one of the earliest changes I often notice in patients developing dementia is difficulty finding the right words. This condition is known as aphasia, and it can appear long before severe memory loss. At first, it may look like forgetting a simple term. A patient might point to a jacket but call it a shirt. They may pause mid-sentence, searching for a word that once came easily. Over time, conversations become filled with hesitations, repeated phrases, or substitutions like thing instead of naming the object. Families sometimes mistake this for distraction or nervousness, but it often reflects the brain's struggle to access language pathways. According to the New York Times, studies have shown that language difficulties can appear several years before a formal dementia diagnosis. In some cases, word-finding trouble was one of the only visible signs for quite some time. This makes paying attention to these subtle shifts so important. I recall a woman who had always been the storyteller of her family. She loved sharing memories at gatherings, yet gradually her stories became shorter, filled with pauses, until she stopped speaking as much. Her loved ones thought she was simply tired of talking, but the truth was that her brain was losing the ability to weave words together. With speech therapy and support, she regained some confidence, but the early recognition made all the difference in planning her care. Now let me bring this back to you. Have you ever noticed yourself or someone close to you struggling more often to find words or repeating phrases without realizing it? Please share in the comments. Whether it has been frustrating, worrying, or something you are just beginning to observe, your story matters. By sharing, you may help another viewer recognize that what they see is not laziness or lack of effort, but an early signal from the brain. Remember, language is not only about words, it is about connection. Protecting that connection starts with noticing the signs early and seeking help with compassion and courage. Number 8, the classic signs of dementia that families must not ignore. By the time dementia progresses beyond its earliest whispers, the signs often become more visible. Families may begin to notice changes that are harder to explain away. These are what we call the classic indicators, and recognizing them can make a real difference in planning care and preserving dignity. The most well-known is memory loss, but not just forgetting names or misplacing keys. It is forgetting important conversations, losing track of dates, or being unable to retrace steps to find something valuable like glasses or medication. Another is difficulty following conversations. Patients may lose their train of thought, repeat themselves, or struggle to understand speech in a noisy environment. Over time, this makes social interactions confusing and discouraging. Mood and personality shifts also emerge. Someone who was once cheerful may become suspicious or withdrawn. Simple decisions, like dressing appropriately for the weather, may turn into challenges. Disorientation is another red flag. Getting lost in familiar places, confusing the past with the present, or asking the same question over and over again. In advanced stages, some may experience hallucinations or even lose control of bladder and bowel function. According to the Washington Post, research shows that these symptoms do not arrive all at once, but often progress step by step. Families who recognize them early are better equipped to seek medical help, access resources, and create supportive environments. The tragedy I have seen most often in my 30 years is not the disease itself, but the delay in seeking help because families thought it is just aging. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you witnessed any of these signs in someone close to you? Did you recognize them right away, or did it take time to realize something deeper was happening? Please share your experiences in the comments. Your honesty could be the lifeline another family needs today. Remember, the power of early recognition is not in fear, but in love. By noticing these signs, we can step in sooner, offer help, and protect what matters most: independence, dignity, and connection. Number 9, protecting brain health through lifestyle and daily choices. Even though there is no cure for dementia today, science has given us strong evidence that the way we live can greatly reduce the risk and even slow down decline. After 3 decades of treating older adults, I have seen firsthand that lifestyle choices are not small details. They are powerful tools for protecting the brain. Nutrition is one of the most important. Diets such as the Mediterranean and the Mind Plan have been shown to improve brain health. These focus on whole foods, fresh vegetables, leafy greens, berries, lean proteins like fish and chicken, healthy fats from olive oil and nuts, and whole grains. According to the New York Times, studies have demonstrated that people who follow these diets closely experience slower rates of cognitive decline compared to those with diets high in processed foods and sugars. Exercise is another cornerstone. Even 30 minutes of moderate walking, 5 days a week, increases blood flow to the brain and supports neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections. Strength training is just as valuable, especially for protecting muscle mass and grip strength, both linked to brain health. In my own practice, I have seen patients regain confidence and sharper thinking simply by committing to regular movement. Managing chronic illnesses is equally important. Conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea increase the risk of dementia by damaging blood vessels and limiting oxygen to the brain. Taking medications as prescribed, attending regular checkups, and making healthy adjustments can slow down these risks significantly. And then there is sleep. Deep, restorative sleep clears away harmful proteins like beta amyloid, which accumulate in Alzheimer's disease. Creating a calm sleep environment, keeping a regular schedule, and avoiding late caffeine or alcohol can all improve this natural cleansing process. Now, let me ask you directly, which area do you feel most confident in? Your diet, your exercise, or your sleep? And which one feels like the hardest to maintain? Share your answer in the comments. By opening up, you may inspire someone else to start small, perhaps by walking 10 minutes today or adding a handful of leafy greens to dinner. Remember, protecting brain health is not about perfection. It is about daily choices that add up over time, giving your mind and body the strength to stay independent, resilient, and connected to the people you love. Number 10, hope on the horizon, new treatments and future possibilities. For many years, dementia was viewed as a journey without hope, a steady decline with little to offer beyond comfort. But today, after decades in this field, I can say with confidence that we are standing at the edge of real progress. Science is beginning to open new doors, offering treatments that may slow the disease and improve quality of life. Recent clinical trials have introduced medications such as lecanemab and donanemab. These are monoclonal antibodies designed to target and remove beta amyloid plaques, the sticky proteins that build up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. According to the Wall Street Journal, early studies show that these drugs can slow cognitive decline in patients who are in the earliest stages of the illness. While they are not cures, they represent the first meaningful steps toward altering the course of dementia rather than simply managing symptoms. Beyond medications, researchers are exploring other innovative approaches. Brain stimulation therapies, such as transcranial magnetic stimulation, aim to activate areas of the brain that are slowing down. Gene therapy is also under investigation, seeking to address the genetic risk factors that increase vulnerability to dementia. Each of these developments carries challenges and uncertainties, but they also carry hope, something that was scarce only a decade ago. What does this mean for you and your loved ones? It means that early recognition is more important than ever. Treatments appear to work best when started at the earliest stages. That makes paying attention to posture changes, sensory shifts, sleep problems, or apathy not just a matter of awareness, but a pathway to better care and access to these new therapies. Now, I would love to hear from you. How do you feel when you hear about these new possibilities? Encouraged, cautious, hopeful. Please share your feelings in the comments. Your reflections remind others that they are not facing this road alone. Remember, while science continues to move forward, the strongest medicine remains a combination of early detection, healthy lifestyle, and community support. The horizon is brighter than it has ever been, and together we can walk toward it with courage and hope. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want to leave you with one simple truth. Dementia is not destiny. Over the past 30 years, I have walked beside thousands of patients and families. I have seen fear, yes, but I have also seen resilience, courage, and healing. Every small step you take, whether it is eating a healthier meal, walking a little farther each day, or paying attention to sleep is an investment in your brain. And those investments add up. They can bring more years of independence, sharper thinking, and meaningful connections with the people you love. To every senior listening right now, I want to encourage you. Change is always possible. Your brain is not fixed like stone. It is alive, flexible, and capable of growth at any age. I have seen people in their 70s begin simple strength training and feel steadier within weeks. I have seen men and women in their 80s improve their memory just by adjusting their diet and sleep. Do not underestimate your ability to change the story of your health. The path may feel uncertain, but you are not walking it alone. You have the guidance of science, the strength of your community, and the love of your family, and that combination is powerful. Now, I would like to hear from you. After listening to these early warning signs and the steps we discussed, how do you feel? Hopeful? Determined? Maybe even a little relieved? Please share your feelings in the comments below. And if you try some of these practices, whether it is a new walk, a better bedtime, or a change in diet, come back and tell us what happened. Your story could be the encouragement another person needs to begin. If this conversation has touched you, I invite you to continue the journey with me. In our next video, we will talk about something surprising but vital. As a brain doctor, I'm shocked. Eat garlic, but never make these 6 mistakes. They can be fatal. Garlic can be a friend to the brain, but only if you use it wisely. And I will show you how. So please subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with someone you care about. Together, we can build a future where age does not steal memory, dignity, or joy, but instead deepens wisdom, connection, and life.